Marvel has dropped a brand new show, Eyes of Wakanda, produced by Ryan Coogler. And this show, y'all, is a banger. It's got some real hidden gems, and it's not a whole lot being talked about it, but it is really big in the ratings at like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. So you guys should check it out. Follow along for our podcast. And today, Eyes of Wakanda, we're going to deep dive in. So stay tuned after the intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Collard Greens and Nerdy Things, your favorite nerd podcast. I am your host, King, and this is the greatest co host in the world, JC3. And today we're talking about Eyes of Wakanda, the newest Disney Plus show that's recently dropped. An amazing show with a lot of great characters. So today we're going to deep dive in. If you like what we do here, don't forget to drop us a like, a comment, subscribe, follow us along, and jump in the comments and tell us what you think. So let's just dive in to the first episode of Eyes of Wakanda. Jay, kick us off. What'd you think of the first episode?
Man, I actually thought that the first episode was one of the best ones that we got in the series. It was a great start for Eyes of Wakanda. We are essentially following this character, Noni, who's a failed Dora Milaje, and she's been tasked with going out into the world and finding the general, also known as the Lion. And her mission is to find him and take him back to Wakanda. The episode I felt was a nice step into the more of the world of Wakanda. I feel like we explored more aspects of Wakanda that we really haven't seen before. Just seeing, because we only really got a hint, of what these war dogs or the Hatu Dazaraze could really be like from the live action Black Panther movie, because I believe Nakia, she was also a war dog. So we got a little bit of hints of what that could be, but this fully explores that. And we see just her views and her mindset on going into the outside world, because a lot of the Wakandans haven't seen the outside world. So when they see it, they're kind of mesmerized in a way. It's something that they've never really experienced. So we're seeing her reaction of this through her eyes, but by the way, beautiful animation, a mixture of 2D animation and CG, absolutely beautiful. I thought that the action in the episode was really good, really kinetic fight scenes. The when she finally meets the general or the Lion, I like their dialogue, I like their back and forth, and I actually really like the ending of the episode because it has stakes. You know what I mean? Noni loses her sight, and that kind of gives her more depth to me as a character in this new world. And I actually hope, given the anthology way that this series takes the course, I don't know if we'll ever really see her again, but it'd be nice to explore her character more, maybe in future projects, maybe future prequels. But I really enjoyed the episode. Kane, what you think?
I thought this was an incredible show. The show is offering something that we've not seen so far. And just like you mentioned, we've really never seen how the Wakandans tackle the outside world before T'Challa opened up the world to Wakanda. And to see kind of Noni's interactions with people and how it works is fantastic. The fight choreography is amazing. When I first started watching it, I wasn't sure when she starts to fight the lion whether she was going to win or not. He had hands, but she
Yeah, he
had
did.
more hands. I mean, there was two times in this episode where she literally beat up a ship's worth of people, an entire ship's worth of people twice, and then dove into the water and then popped up back on the ship. When she first meets the lion and he tells her that he's impressed. You're the first Dora Milaje that I didn't train. So I don't know your moves and I'm impressed by you. And he started telling her more about what she didn't know, the existence of the war dogs, and why he is outside of Wakandan walls and territory, and opening herself to this world that's much bigger than any Wakandan can ever imagine. And man, it was a really fun episode. I was surprised in the way they did it. They had a really cool, kind of explosion that they do with the vibranium. I thought it was great, man, to see the rest of the Dora. You know what I mean? The Dora welcomes her back, and she's like, "Nah, I don't want to be a Dora
Yeah,
Milaje." She says, "Meh," and
right.
then I love that the leader's like, "Exactly. I wanted you to do more than that, but you have to seek that out. I can't seek that for you. But now that you have, welcome to the War Dogs." And they show that cool hidden base that's in Wakanda. So it's like the people of Wakanda don't even know it's there. And it's like next to this waterfall with these big glass windows. I mean, it's so dope. I mean, it sets up a world of an aspect of Wakanda that, like you said, we never really seen. We got a hint of it with Nakia, and like, hey, she lives outside the world, but we've never seen it. So I think this was a great first episode into this anthology story that they're going to tell with this new group of the War Dogs. So I was very happy. I thought it was a great episode, and I thought it was a great start. Let's move on to the next episode, episode two, which takes a little bit different approach. One thing I will say before we continue, for you guys, if you haven't watched the show yet, each episode, there's only four, each episode is a different period in time. So it's a different anthology story with different people, and sometimes you see some of the same come back. So, Jay, tell us what the episode was about and what you thought, man.
Well, to piggyback off you for anybody that's watching this series as well. I feel like this is personally like a great spot for this series to be put inside the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Just with it being an anthology, any viewer can really just dive in and just check out the world of Wakanda. You really don't need to have any other context. I mean, you might want to watch the Black Panther movie, like the first two, like if you want to, just to give you a bit more context. But you really don't need to. You could really just step into this universe, into this world, and just watch 4 episodes of really good animation and story. As far as what I thought about the second episode, I actually really did enjoy it just because I'm a big fan of the Trojan War. I really like Greek mythology, and it was cool that they added like Wakandan mythos into that. We're following um, a character named Memnon, who's tasked with getting a vibranium necklace back to Wakanda. But he is also best friends with Achilles, a very popular and known character in Greek mythology. He's one of my favorites. And I really enjoyed the dynamic that they had. I really bought them as friends. I love their friendship. And also, again, animation, top tier, amazing. And just to see like how they incorporated Memnon with the whole Trojan horse aspect of history, like the Trojans making a horse and then wanting to secretly invade the enemy to take them out. I really enjoyed that. I like the mixture that they put in there. The man, like the only sore spot for me in that episode is that Memnon is responsible for the death of Achilles. Um, that really hurt. That really hurt my heart, just because again, I love their friendship and I felt like it was really heartfelt. So the fact that he didn't let his friendship get in the way of his mission spoke volumes to me. And then also just seeing the heartbreak on Achilles' face, like just not understanding why his best friend would betray him like this. But you got to do what you got to do for your country. And we see the effect that that's taken on Memnon as well, because while some Wakandans are fascinated by the outside world and want to stay there, sometimes these war dogs, they have the price they pay, to achieve, like to succeed in their mission, it becomes too much. And sometimes they want to stay, in Wakanda. They don't want to leave. They want to just go back. Or sometimes it's just too much for them. So I did enjoy that. There's also a nice little callback that we get from the first episode of the series with Noni reappearing this time way older, kind of a leader of the War Dogs now. I thought that was a pretty good connection that we got from the episode. So I enjoyed it. What you think?
So for me, I'm just like you. Growing up, I was always a huge fan of Greek mythology, one of my favorite mythoses out there. So I was really excited about the Greek mythology episode, especially know we're going to be somewhere around the Trojan Wars. Of course, the old fable and the old story of the Trojan horse, and tricking the Trojans into thinking that they were going to get this gift, and it was a surprise attack. To do that, and like you said, add Wakandan history into that, man, it was real dope. Their relationship, I would 100% agree with you. Their relationship was it was definitely sad towards the end, because you definitely got in the beginning that they had a friendship that was um bathed in the flames of battle. They have been through war together. They had been through battles night after night. And something that they kept telling each other was they were doing it for home. They were doing it for their home people, for their homelands. What Achilles didn't know was Memnon was doing it for his home and not necessarily the Greek home. And as they finally get into the castle through the Trojan horse, or through the Trojan horse gag. Once they get in, they're one making pretty quick work of them. It is kind of sad when you see Memnon run up the stairs and he looks back at Achilles, and later he says, "You looked at me, you saw me, and you left me." And it was very heartbroken for him to see him letting the king and queen go, or the emperor and empress go, knowing that they were there for that same battle. And he mentions to him that, like, the other guys were right, you're on their team, and he's trying to tell him, no, I'm here for my own, to my own means. But something very important for the War Dogs, they can never tell anybody what their mission is and what they're doing. That he really couldn't tell him anything, and it proceeds into a fight. And unfortunately, Achilles dies. And it is really sad, because it was a friend killing a friend, and he knew that he didn't want to, but he had to. And it was really powerful to him for him to go back home. uh, he's been in the field so long, fighting these battles and being a war dog, that home is now foreign to him. It doesn't feel the same. The smells, the sounds, it's probably noisy. It's foreign. This isn't home to him anymore, and he feels like he doesn't necessarily belong. So he asked to go back out into the world and continue to be a war dog, because it's all he knew. That was all he had and all he knew. And of course, now we get to see Noni as now the director of the War Dogs. And she understands, and she gives him exactly what he wants and lets him go back out into the world. And that's where that piece of the story ends. So let's pick up episode three. Episode three was super fun. I think one of mine and yours most anticipated episodes that we were looking forward to. So take it away. What'd you think?
I'm gonna keep it simple, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, our Wakandan war dog this time around is Basha. He's tasked with getting another artifact in the form of a dragon's head, and he gets some interference by another superhero that we all know, some love. I actually grew to love this character more after this episode. Uh, Iron Fist from Kunlun. So we have Wakanda, sorry, against Kunlun. A mixture that I completely love just because of just the culture, the fighting style, the choreography that they had, like the whole fight scene that Basha had with this version of Iron Fist was awesome. And I actually really like the energy of this Iron Fist. In my opinion, more it's better than Danny Rand. Um, that again, just my opinion, but I think it really got me interested in exploring more of what an Iron Fist could be potentially in this new MCU, in this new saga that we're in, and maybe we'll get future answers, more answers to that in the future. But I did enjoy the episode. I enjoyed the action, and the ending kind of threw me off a little bit. It was a tad bit predictable, but didn't take away from just the look of the episode too. That's the thing. Like even the weaker spots of certain episodes still doesn't take away from just the absolute beauty that we're seeing with this animation. Like it is hands down to me like one of the best looking shows that the MCU has produced in this whole saga that we've had, and with the Marvel Animation Studios in general. So I really enjoyed this. What you think?
I've got to agree with you, man. I think this is easily Marvel's best animating style, comparison to Neighborhood Spider-Man, a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and even What If. I enjoy this animation style way more. This was easily one of my favorite stories. I love the Iron Fist. I'm kind of opposite of you, of course. I like Danny Rand. Most people don't, but I'm one of those weird people who, for some reason, do. I thought it was a great story. It kind of picks up that Basha is kind of piecing out of China and taking off and gets back to Wakanda. And they're kind of, one, not expecting him to be alive because they haven't heard from him for a while, but they're kind of waiting for the debrief. And as the debrief's happening, all of a sudden, somebody starts attacking Wakanda. And guys, she's not just attacking Wakanda, she's beating the hell out of every single Wakandan she has come in front of. Every single. And we're talking about people who fight like Black Panther. You know what I mean? Some of the best fighters, but obviously Iron Fist is probably third or fourth best fighter in the Marvel universe. So she was beating the hell out of everybody. And I loved it. It was a deeper story than we thought. You kind of thought like, oh man, they're just fighting back and forth, good guy, bad guy. And what you find is when he was tasked to go to China and go to this village to get this vibranium back, he almost died in the snow. Of course, it's Africa. He's from Wakanda. He's not used to this Alps level snow, inches or feet of snow. She takes him in, nurses him, brings him back to health. They essentially kind of fall in love, but he doesn't know she's the Iron Fist, and she doesn't know he's from Wakanda. So in the end, you can tell there's a lot of love and respect between those two. And there was some really funny moments when he was like, she said to him like, why did you even take the thing? And he's like, I needed the vibranium. And she's like, you could have just said that. I would have just took it out for you and gave it to you. And the other guy's like, that's all we had to
Yeah.
do, this whole thing, that's all we had to do. They definitely played it for laughs. And the end was kind of predictable but kind of weird, where they let Iron Fist go but told the people in charge that this was a training exercise, and all the men who just got their butts kicked was a training exercise and not real. But it's a really fun episode. And to piggyback off of Jay, I really just can't say enough about the way that they chose to shoot this, the production, the storytelling, and the visuals. I mean, beautiful visuals, even for an animated series. So I thought that was a really good episode. But now it's time to move on to the final episode. And this episode took me to a place I didn't really expect. So break it down for us, Jay. What's your thoughts?
The last episode was actually, if I think about it, it's probably my favorite of the whole series. Just because, again, we're exploring more of the Wakandan lore and the mythos, but we are also using this series to connect to previous projects from all the way back to phase three, I believe. This episode follows Prince Tafari with his boy Kud, and we have a bit of a timey-wimey situation because we have a Black Panther that I believe comes from 500 years in the
Yes.
future, comes
Yeah.
back to stop this group of the Horde from coming into Wakanda and just essentially destroying their whole entire city. When I first saw this episode, I was a little confused because I'm like, wait a minute, the Horde? What's the Horde? Like, I don't think we've ever seen the Horde, and we haven't seen the Horde in the MCU until now. It's kind of a cool way to introduce Wakandan technology with like sci-fi concepts and like kind of putting them all into one. And it made me interested to see maybe more of the Horde live action if we ever get a chance. But essentially, she's coming back to stop the Horde. And the time travel aspects of the episode, it kind of messes with what they kind of set up when it comes to time travel stuff in Endgame. But it really didn't bother me too much. I really enjoyed the episode for what it was. I like the dynamic between Tafari and Kud. They're really good friends, really good pals. And what they essentially have to do is make sure that a vibranium X ends up in a museum for a forgotten son of Wakanda to retrieve later on in the future. Who is that forgotten son? Our boy Killmonger from all the way back to the first Black Panther movie in phase 3. I absolutely love this because, like, being a longtime MCU fan like we are, we love when things connect. And I truly did not expect them to take such what we felt at that time was such a small aspect of that movie, and they made it so much bigger. Just knowing how crucial Killmonger's role was in not just getting himself the throne from the first Black Panther movie, but by stopping the destruction of their entire city. So now we can look back on that movie and see that part and be like, he's gonna get it. Yeah, like it was beautiful storytelling. Absolutely loved it. Loved the ending. I actually honestly thought that the Black Panther that came back from the future, for some reason, I thought that might have been an older version of Shuri. Uh, but it turns out it wasn't that. I don't know if we really. I can't remember if we got an actual name for. If we got her name, who she was.
I forgot her name,
Uh,
but we did get her name.
we did get her name.
She's
Okay.
from 200
Apologies.
years past the MCU that we currently are seeing.
Got you, got you. Well, hey, but she's a force to be reckoned with. She don't play. You know, she defended her spot until the very end. She held that horde back for as long as she could. And again, I love the ending of the episode. Just with the prince and his boy, just thinking like, I wonder, how long it'll take if we'll ever see the effects, the ripple effects of what we just did. Maybe spiritually they'll be able to, but we know the significance of it, and it was a really impactful episode that it afterwards, honestly, I didn't want it to end. I wanted to see more connections like that. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause I feel like that's kind of what a series like this should do. It shouldn't just show you a point in history when certain events happen. It should show you how these events affect where we are now. And I think the episode did a beautiful job of that. What do you think?
So, man, I have so much to say about this episode. Um, it was a really powerful episode, and it does have probably the most like effect on the world around us as far as the live action MCU is concerned. The things that do happen in this definitely have an effect in that aspect. One thing that she said when the Black Panther came back was that the axe needed to be in the right place because in her timeline, the whole world tried to stop the horde and they fell. And the last place that was open was Wakanda. And because they were the last ones left, they also fell, and we're doomed. And so they needed to make sure that this axe was in the right place so that later on Njaka could find it. And then later on, our Black Panther, T'Challa, could open up the world to Wakanda's doors, and together they would fight the Horde and stop it. But without the entire world being united, the world was going to fall to the Horde, which comes from the farthest reaches of the galaxy and are very dangerous in the comics. So, just kind of think of it like alien monsters, a war of attrition, thousands of them just ripping through the world. this story was incredible because it was definitely like, what's going to happen? You have this story happening in the future, 200 years in the future, where she's doing her best with the last couple people that are left. She's the last Black Panther, and they're holding back the horde from the last bastion of life, while in the past the two are fighting to get to the museum where they need to place this axe, and the stakes actually feel high, and you don't know whether they're going to really get it there or what that means. Once they do, we realize, when, as you mentioned, when they're both talking about, I wonder how this is going to, you know pan out, we see live action Killmonger standing in front of the exhibit in Black Panther 1 that we had initially been introduced to him. So, what a crazy moment. But there was something that I told you off camera that it was my thoughts. With them showing Killmonger in that moment, there is a possibility that they could be insinuating that maybe Killmonger wasn't outside of Wakanda by accident. Maybe he actually was a war dog who, like the lion, essentially went rogue. And it could be that that is an implication that they kind of leave us with, that we could see the implications of in the current MCU timeline. So, all in all, I thought that was a dope story and a dope wraparound. Uh, but before we get out today, let's do our last and final thoughts of the episode. I'm going to do my final thoughts, and then I'm going to let Jay do his and then take us on out for today. So, if I was to rate this show 1 to 10, this one was pretty high for me. I'd say it was 8.5 up at a 9. You definitely got to give them some room for, margin of error, but it was a really high. I did watch this show, all 4 episodes twice, just to kind of get the memory down for us recording this episode. But I enjoyed it. It was a great watch. Surprisingly, wanted more of it because it was only 4 episodes, but at the same time, I kind of feel satisfied. So all in all, I think it's a great episode that I think people should watch. And I think, like Jay mentioned earlier, that it's something you can dive into. You don't have to watch all of the MCU. You could just dive into and have a good time. So those are my final thoughts. I really enjoyed it, and I really appreciate all of you here with us. And you guys should check it out when you get the opportunity if you haven't. And what's your final thoughts, Jay? What you think?
Well, man. Well, I will say, you said you watched this series twice. I watched it once. That's why you are one of the best co-hosts ever, sir. So thanks for that. As far as what I think of Eyes of Wakanda, this series being in line with, as you mentioned, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the What If series, also adding to the library, X-Men '97. We'll even toss in I Am Groot. Uh, as I think that this really stands like toe to toe with the animated series that Marvel's put out so far. It's very distinct and different in its own way. I enjoyed all 4 episodes. Like I said, the first and the last ones were the best for me. The middle ones were still very good, just a couple of weak moments to where it just it didn't hit quite as well, but I still really enjoyed myself. As far as a rating goes for the show, out of 10, I will probably give it like 7.5. 7.5 out of 10. It's a solid series. The only main reasons for that is, again, the 2 episodes a little predictable for me. Also, just the series in general, it just felt short. You know what I mean? It felt like we felt like we got a sample. We didn't get the meal. You know what I mean? I got the appetizer. But now we need the dinner. So maybe, down the line we might get more Eyes of Wakanda. I would love to see a second season where we explore more of the history of what these war dogs have been through and what they've done and connect things more. But I really did enjoy the series. I think it's a very good continuation for Marvel Animation. I hope they keep going with this type of style with the 2D and the CG. Very, very beautiful. Like I said, even in the weak spots of episodes for me, I was just taken aback by just how great this whole show looked. So highly recommended. Definitely check it out. It's Definitely worth your time. You can get through it quick and easy. Thank you all for the support and the love. Continue to comment, share our videos, and please subscribe. Tell your friends. And thank you again. And as always, stay nerdy, my friends.